Hey, welcome to an episode of Chad's Beer Podcast with me, Chad. And this week I'm talking to Andy from Andy's Beer Reviews. What's going on, man?
Everything's going on fine, thank you, Chad. Yeah, we get to speak at last, which is really good.
Yeah, in case anybody missed it, we just reviewed 𝑪𝒂𝒄𝒂𝒔𝒕 Triple. Sorry, I put the bottle in the other room. um, Spoilers, it was a really good beer. So
It was good. It was good.
yeah, what are you drinking
Thanks
now?
thanks for introducing me to 𝑪𝒂𝒂𝒔𝒕.
Yeah, you said that was your first time having it.
Yeah, never had it before. So yeah, I think he said on the review who was your favourite triple. I don't think I managed to get an answer out, but yeah, there's a strange enough there's an English brewer called Ox, and they do a triple called Solitude. I think it's been my favourite so far.
Yeah, I'd probably say Triple Carmelet or Carmelite is my favorite triple. But yeah, it would. One of these days, I want to do a blind taste of like 𝑪𝒂𝒂𝒃, Chimay White, Triple Carmelet, maybe Allagash Triple, like some American examples. See which one really is the best. That's like the best way to judge beer is doing it blind. Are you?
Yeah, it's funny actually you say that. I had a plum porter from a local brewer, and tasted it. It for me, it was like the best ever plum porter I ever had. I actually got to meet the guy, the head brewer, at a show a little bit later on after that, and I said to him, I'm sure it's one of the best plum porters I've ever had, if not the best, but I am going to do a blind taste test. So I've actually bought a load of plum porters in. So yeah, I'm gonna do the same with the plum porter, see which was my favourite once and for all.
That's funny you mentioned that because I remember Raggy from Raggy's Beer Reviews. He did a plum porters like, well, maybe not like a comparison, but I've seen a bunch of his like that he reviewed a bunch of different plum porters. That must be. Is that like an English thing, like an English style? Because I don't think I've ever seen a plum porter in the States.
Well, I think we invented the porter, so yeah, maybe so. Yeah, it's possible. Yeah, I think Raggy likes his Titanic porters though, so I think Titanic probably won for Raggy.
Before we get started, I just wanted to show the viewers at home where you are. You're in Leeds, UK, or
Close
near
to Leeds, yeah, close to Leeds, yeah. I'll do for now.
I should have. All right, so I wanted to zoom out so you can see the whole planet, but yeah, if you go to earth.google.com, you just type in any city, and you can zoom in. Yeah, so you're what, halfway between Sheffield and Scotland?
Halfway between London and Scotland, probably. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't realize Newcastle was so far north.
Yeah, some nice brewers up there as well.
Yeah, Newcastle Brown Ale was like one of my favorite beers of all time. I used to drink that when they were they were independent. I think it was like John Smith's Brewery or something like that.
Yeah,
they got bought out by Heineken.
The original stuff was amazing. It's lost a lot of its power now, unfortunately. But my beer of the year, I've started doing. I've been doing this now online on YouTube for this month. It'll be 4 years. I've just had a look, and I've started doing beer of the year and brewery of the year. And there's a Newcastle brewery have won my beer of the year for last year. So Wylam Brewery. So shout out to Wylam Brewery. They do some really good beers.
Are they independent?
Yeah.
Okay. Small brewery.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, there's my brewery of the year. Whilst we're on the subject, is a brewer called Green Jack. And they produce a lot of these wonderful swing top ones.
But I hardly ever see those around here anymore.
Yeah, you tend to get them a lot. I've seen them quite a lot, but it's just a nice little touch. I mean, you pay for it, but their beers are amazing. I've managed to get to their brewery as well, and they brew some phenomenal beers.
When I used to homebrew, homebrewers would buy that. I think it's Dutch or maybe German Grolsch.
Yeah, Grolsch. Yeah.
It's because it comes with a swing top bottle, and like homebrewers love to use those for homebrewing. And the problem is they come in a green bottle though, so they get kind of skunky. But
Yeah,
it's so much easier to reuse the swing top bottle instead of having to put a new
absolutely. Yeah.
cap on each time. Have you
Well,
ever
girl,
homebrewed?
do I homebrew?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, when I first started doing the beer reviews, I didn't, and it just got to a stage where I thought it's daft. I'm almost suggesting stuff I think brewers should do to their beers, and I don't brew myself, so I don't know how easy it is to do.
Yeah.
So I started brewing. In fact, I've got what started off as an American Pale Ale. Swing this round. What started off as American Pale Ale is in that pressure barrel at the moment. It's ended up as a bit of a Westie though. I was a bit heavy-handed with the hops, so it's turned into a Westie.
Yeah,
but it's not bad.
So it's funny, we were just talking offline because like we were talking about using Untappd and doing BeerTube as we call it. So like let's start at the beginning. Like what inspired you to start doing video beer reviews on YouTube?
I just got into craft. I mean, I was a general. I still class myself as a general drinker. I just like drinking beers, but I like to tell people what I think about these beers. So I don't particularly study beers, although I think I've got to have an understanding of beer styles to be able to do what I do. I think it was my wife. I think I had a couple of beers, different sorts of beers, hoppy beers in the UK. And then my wife, I think she bought me an advent calendar, a craft beer advent calendar. And I used to use Untappd to kind of to review, because I'm always reviewing movies and TV shows, and so that was the next thing to do. Right, Untappd, this is what I think about it. And was it 255 characters or something like that? Just wasn't enough to describe a beer. So I was really frustrated about it. How can I reword this? What can I lose? And she said, why don't you? Because I was watching I like my rums as well. I was watching a rum reviewer on YouTube. And she said, well, why don't you do readers? Why don't you put stuff on YouTube? And 4 years ago, stupidly, I thought I was only, because I never watched beer reviews. Right. I thought I was the only person doing beer reviews on YouTube at the time.
That's what every BeerTuber says.
so I started doing that. So that's how I got into it. It's just the characters on YouTube on Untappd just weren't enough. So I decided to be ballsy enough to set up the channel.
This is for everybody watching at home. This is Andy's YouTube channel. It looks like you wear the Andy's Beer Reviews hoodie in like every video.
No, do you know what? This is about 2 weeks old. Yeah, I'm sick of. I kind of always decided I needed to wear a different hoodie or a different top every review. I don't know why I decided I had to do that. And then I decided a couple of weeks ago, why not just get a hoodie with a logo on it? And so I've got a couple of these now. So going forward, they'll all have these hoodies on them.
Yeah, you've got a lot of videos with like over 1,000 views. I kind of prefer your new video thumbnails, like where you're in the thumbnail. Every like social media strategist I've ever seen always says like, human faces do better as far as like bringing in viewers than just text. But
have you seen his face though, Chad?
Yeah, I feel you.
I sometimes think the bottle might drag in more clicks than the face.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of what I do on mine. Let me bring it up here. It's funny, I don't actually have my own channel bookmarked.
That's good. That's good though, isn't it?
By the way, I subscribe to like every BeerTuber that I can find. Whoops. Oh, come on, dude.
It's amazing how many of us are out there.
Yeah. I used to do that, top 20 most viewed BeerTubers of the month and year and all that stuff.
Yeah, you did, yeah.
But it's so much work. It takes forever because I have to go through every single person manually and like crunch the numbers. And it takes like an entire day. And like those videos don't really get like a ton of traction. So I'm like, why am I doing this?
Because we like it when we hit the top 20.
Yeah. But it also depends on like
that's the only reason.
Yeah, it depends on how you measure it, because like there's definitely people, I'm not going to say who, that use like bots or subscription services to boost their views up.
It doesn't help in the long run. YouTube are very clever. They know when stuff like that's being used.
Or it drives me crazy when a channel is like mostly beer, but then they post something completely different and like that gets a ton of views. Like it was something like political or like some kind of like viral video, or like something like that they don't own the IP to, like, you know, like music or movies or TV. And like, so that jacks their views way up. And I'm like, well, are they really number one? Or is it like, because this video of them at a concert or like this commercial that they posted, like that's getting all the traction. You know, so I don't know. It's too hard. It's too much of a pain to keep track of all this stuff. So
yeah, I don't get it.
I'm not doing it anymore.
Food as well.
Oh yeah,
I understand there's a link between beer and snacks and that sort of thing, but when people start going too far down the food line, it just loses it for me. They seem to be quite good at it, but you know, I just, if you're good at something, stick to that. Don't bother with the food stuff.
Yeah. It's I mean, I think it's okay to kind of experiment, you know, but as long as like that doesn't become like the focus of your channel, or it's like that's the driving, you know, like I always define BeerTuber as like a channel dedicated to beer in the form of reviews, podcasts, vlogs, commentary, things like that. And it must be like original content, you know, like it's okay to have something off topic, I guess, as long as it doesn't account for like the majority of the traffic. And, you know, like, so like, that's why like if you want to have like a channel about food, like, you know, start a separate channel, then you have to like build up your subscriber base. And, you know, a lot of people, it's just easier to just post whatever on one channel. Like there's some people that like do like beer and then also do like whiskey and like political rants,
wine, the stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I like to think if someone just dips into some of my videos, they know they're going to get beer, and that works for me. You know, they're not going to get a wine or a whiskey or a rum. I mean, I could do rum. I know a fair bit about rum, but they're not going to get any of that. They're not going to get any bar snacks, anything it needs to in the microwave. Or they're just going to get beer.
Yeah, I mean that's the name of the show, Andy's Beer Reviews.
Well, like absolutely,
My show's Chad's Beer Reviews.
Yeah, there's a clue in the title, isn't there?
Yeah, I did try to start doing whiskey reviews last year, but I don't know. Like after a while, I don't know how much of a whiskey drinker you are, if at all, but I don't know. After a while, like I thought, like, you know, like, because I have like a pretty keen palate, at least when it comes to beer. But then, so it's like, all right, I'm going to try to, you know, use that for whiskey, and because I love like bourbon barrel aged stouts and things like that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I should be able to, like, if I'm this good at beer, I should be probably a good whiskey judge. And you know, I drink a lot of, or well, I should say last year I was doing a lot of whiskey reviews, and like after a while, I'm just kind of like, it's not that they're all the same. It's just like I just don't get the appeal of like, especially with whiskey. It's like you're paying like through the nose, like when you actually do it like per ounce, you know. Although I will say, like, at least like with like a, you know, 750 ml bottle of whiskey that's like, you know, $30, $40, $50, like you're gonna get, it's gonna last you anywhere from like a month to a year, depending on how often you drink it. But like with beer, it's like once you open the bottle or the can, that's it. You know, you're in.
To be fair, I can knock back the rums. A bottle of rum doesn't necessarily last me too long. So, and it's the sort of thing with spirits. I like to drink neat because I like to know how much I'm drinking.
Right.
I don't like to dilute it with stuff. So, yeah.
Do you chill your rum like in the fridge, or you just drink it room temperature?
No, it tends to be just room temperature, and tends to be just. Well, it gets a bit contentious now, doesn't it? It's normally the dark spiced ones that I like, which technically aren't a rum then. They're more a liqueur because they've just got a sugar solution in them, the spiced sugar solution. So the rum aficionados will say it's actually not a rum I'm drinking, but hey, I like it, so.
Yeah.
When you fed up of drinking this, where you've had pints and pints of bottles or cans of beer, a couple of shots of a spirit's quite nice, I think, to end an evening with.
Yeah. it's on my last episode. I was talking with Paul of Paul's Beer Reviews.
Oh yeah.
And I forgot to mention, like we were talking through Instagram, like how you and I talk. I was saying, I oddly enough, I find that the UK beer tubers or guests on this show are like the best guests, and I think it's because of like your pub culture. Because I bet you go to the pub and you probably meet a stranger you never seen or
Yeah.
talked to
Yeah.
before, and you just start up a conversation with them. But like in the States, it's a little different. It's like you don't really interact with strangers unless like you're a man trying to pick up a woman at the bar, or
Yeah.
like it has to be like some kind of like obvious like they're wearing like this a jersey of a sports team that you like, and be like, oh, did you see the game last week? Yeah, and like that's how you like. But you wouldn't just like go up to a stranger and just be like, how do you like that beer you're drinking, or
no, maybe it's part of that beer culture. We are, I think, Northerners, which I would class myself as, and Paul would obviously. I think we are talkative, and we do like to talk to strangers. I'll get on the tube in London and I'll talk to people. I'm sat next door, sat opposite, and I'll happily have a conversation with them. So yeah, we just, I don't know, naturally chatty or nosy people. I'm not sure which it is really.
Yeah,
maybe that being brought up in a pub, maybe that does help.
Yeah, I mean, they say beer or maybe alcohol is a social lubricant. I think it's more beer, but that's one of the things I like about beer. Again, going back to whiskey, is like you have that full 12, 16, maybe even 20-ounce glass, and you're gonna drink that for like anywhere from like 10 minutes to an hour, maybe. But like with whiskey, you only have like this much, and you have to like really savor it.
It's so expensive.
Yeah. And it's so strong. Like, I mean, that's something I noticed when I started doing the whiskey reviews last year. Is like you just take like this tiny little sip, like maybe a few milliliters, and like you have to like really like concentrate on what you're tasting. Although I will say, if you've ever judged, have you ever judged a homebrew competition?
No.
Are you BJCP qualified?
No, I have looked into it. It's one of those things I will get around to doing at some time.
Yeah, it's what I actually have the this is the last style guidelines from 2021. I think there's a new one coming out soon. It's funny you were mentioning we did Westmalle triple before we started this show, and you were saying like I think that's invented the style, and I have it right here if I could find it.
Ooh.
I just had it. Where did it go?
Is it a myth or is it real?
Oh, yeah, it's under monastic. Okay, so it's 26C in history. Let's see. Popularized by the monastery at Westmalle, first brewed in 1934. So yeah, Westmalle triple was the first triple, at least according to the BJCP.
Can't argue with that, can you? They're the official guidelines. Can't argue with that one.
Yeah, I definitely recommend becoming BJCP certified, because like you learn so much about beer just like studying for the exam, because like it is. I've had people say you becoming a BJCP judge is the best thing and the worst thing that ever happened to me, because when you don't have to become BJCP. It could be like Cicerone or Prud'homme, or what the Canadian one, Prud'homme. I don't know how to pronounce it. And like there's a lot of culinary institutes that have beer certifications. And like, because you learn all the flaws, like you learn like diacetyl, acetaldehyde, dimethyl sulfide, like you learn all these off flavors, and it's like once you taste them, like you can't untaste them.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know. I think it's the difference between British and American pub culture too, is like you're probably going like to a lot of breweries like right at the source. And like we kind of have that here too. It's like there's like so many microbreweries now where it's like they don't bottle and can. It's like if you want to drink it, they're basically just a bar that brews their own beer, and like they maybe they'll have like a food truck outside, but it's like you go there, you drink like all their beer, and then because they're small independent breweries, they might not have the quality control of like a huge macro brewery, like for better or for worse, like as much as we all
for worse normally. Yeah
like I don't know, like what the reputation of like Samuel Smith's is there or Fuller's, but like like we have Budweiser here, Bud, Miller,
Yeah.
Coors, like technically everything they make is like mechanically it's like two style. Like you're not gonna get off. Like those beers taste how they're supposed to taste, and like even though they have satellite breweries all over the country, like it tastes exactly the
It is
same.
exactly the same, yeah.
Yeah, like
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I suppose the way we look at it, you like your Fullers, your Sam Smiths, we probably class as more as regional brewers. We've got like Carlin over here, which is probably the big one, who produce some horrible beers for us over here.
That's what everybody says,
But
So,
it's interesting. Like all the beers, the lagers in Europe, for example, you'll get in America, you'll get the proper European lagers, where over here they're like brewed usually by Carlsberg,
right.
and it's lower ABV, and it's just they're just missing something. They've not taken the ingredients. I mean, it's the water profile as well, isn't it? More than anything, you just can't take that and reproduce it. It's difficult to do. And the produce stuff over in it's just not good at all.
Yeah, I actually have speaking of I have a bottle of Sam Smith's India Ale in the fridge here, which I'm sure is very old. I could look it up, but yeah, we get like basically everything that they make here, but we don't get it fresh. Like pretty much everything is, if it's 6 months old, that's like super fresh for us. It's usually like a year or more.
So that's brewed over here, isn't it?
Yeah, this is
Tadcaster, I guess.
Yeah. I'm trying to see it's only 5%. I remember reviewing this back in the early days of my show, and I was just like they're calling this an India Ale, and like Untappd calls it an English IPA, but isn't this more like just like a strong bitter?
Yeah. I mean, those guys are just a stone's throw from me here.
Oh, really? Yeah, I heard they're a very weird brewery. Like they don't do tours or anything like that.
I thought they did. I might be wrong. I thought they did, but I might be wrong.
Yeah, like they don't talk to the media, and I don't know. I don't know. Do you follow the craft beer channel?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
Yeah, Johnny and Brad. They have an audio podcast which I listen to every week. Because I drive for a living, so I have nothing to do but listen to podcasts. And actually, they're probably one of my favorite beer podcasts. I actually find most beer podcasts are like audio podcasts. That is, are very I hate to say it, kind of boring, or very technical. Like they just talk to a brewer, and it's like if it's a brewer of a brewery you never heard of and you can't get, it's like you don't really have much interest in watching.
Yeah, it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, or listening, I should say. But yeah, Johnny and Brad, so they just kind of BS around between themselves and talk about like what's going on in the beer world. And yeah, they were mentioning last week or 2 weeks ago something about Samuel Smith, and they said they have like this kind of like old timer mentality of like they don't really do media or anything. Like they're not social. Like all their social media is like farmed out to somebody else. But it's like I think eventually, like when the old timers, those first generation die off, like when the younger generation takes over, like they're gonna change everything.
Social stuff, yeah, maybe, yeah.
I used to get, when I lived in Albany, New York, I used to get a lot of the Fuller's beers, but we can't get them here. In fact, we hardly get, like, aside from Samuel Smith's, we don't really get that much English beer here. And I think it's probably going to get worse under all these tariffs.
I was going to say it's going to get worse, so you're going to have to pay 10% more soon.
Yeah. Oh, it's so expensive. It's funny. I don't know if you can see in the top shelf up here, I have Old Peculiar.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Yeah, I just got that today when I was at the beer store.
Yeah, I had an OP yesterday, actually. It's not the same as you used to back in the day, but yeah, it's a nice beer.
It was $5, which is actually kind of a bargain.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good price. I'm not sure what we pay here, actually.
Is that considered an old ale?
I think it is the Old Peculiar. Yeah, old, and yeah, I think it is. I think that's technically what it would be classified as. Yeah.
Which
I like to get around all the craft brewers, though. I mean, they're good stock ones. Things like Eau Peculiar to have in and just to drink. But
it's only,
yeah,
I think it's like 5.6 ABV. It's very, for an old ale, it's very light. And it's funny, going back to the BJCP, if you look up British, so category 17 is strong British ale. 17B is old ale, and they actually make a point of saying it says roughly overlapping the British strong ale and lower end of the English barley wine styles, but the where you draw the line between old ale and barley wine is like rather arbitrary. Leo, get down. Sorry, my cat wants to be on the
that's all right.
camera. Do you have any cats or dogs?
No, we used to have a cat. We've got a dog now. We've got a German Shepherd, so she can't get in here. Where I actually am, when I first started getting to beer reviews, I probably had about 200 beers to drink, and they were all over the kitchen. And so the wife kicked me out, and so I've had to build this. I call it an ale house, but it's a summer house really. So on this side is where I do all the drinking and the reviewing. On that side, behind where the camera is, I've got like a small homebrew thing going on, and my fridge is over there as well. So yeah, I've got like a little brewery and a little bar here. Is
it attached to the house or is it a separate?
No, it's a stride away from the side door, so I can step out the side door and step it into here, so it's quite nice.
That's funny because I've had so many guests on this show that have like a shack or a shed or whatever you want to call it, where like just for their home brewery or their beer reviews or both, like like
it's common now, isn't it? It is really common. Yeah, I think since COVID, I think there's certainly over here. There was a lot of thing about shed bars. Just really took off over here, and it's funny actually because I bought this today, and she said, "Oh, you got a home bar?" I said, "Yeah, I have." So yeah, it's a common thing over here now. So yeah, so a lot of people over here. My next door neighbour, that they've got a shed as well, but they've converted into a bar.
Yeah, it's funny because like Paul and Michelle from Rate My Beer, like they have like a huge.
They do. It's massive, isn't it? Yeah.
Tiki bar, basically. Yeah. And like Simon has his like pool house or whatever it is. Like it's almost like a greenhouse.
Like a conservatory, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. And Massive Beer Reviews, he has like his own shed off his farm that's like for beer and his day job. And Beer a Day with TK, he has the same thing, like a shed. I mean, I wish I had a house, especially or something like in the rural country, but I just can't afford a house. Like housing prices are like so ridiculous now. But so I don't know if you saw like how I used to do the show. It used to be up against this wall over here.
Yeah.
And I had all these beer signs and everything. I sold all those beer signs, but I just kept these ones. And I moved so for Christmas, I had the Christmas tree behind me, and then I just decided to keep this POV or whatever you want to call it. So I like the bookshelf because like these are all books. Well, at least the top shelf is books about beer, and you can see my beer fridge right here. Yeah. It's like I'm trying to I figured if I have books, it makes me look smart. Like, 'cause I have read all these.
Nice one, well done. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I might have to get a bookshelf on this side then.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, I've even got like a little hanging up thing here with peanuts on it. So it's like I've got like a proper bar here. I've got a bell. So if the bell gets rung, if there's a 10 out of 10 beer.
Oh, that's what Darwin does.
Yeah.
Darwin rates on a scale of 100, not just 1 through 10. And if he gives a beer like a 90 something or higher, he has like a little bell that he rings. Like if you go like into a store and there's nobody at the counter, you ring the bell for service, like that kind of bell.
And it's quite nice. It's quite a nice feeling to say, yeah, I've just had a 10 out of 10 and ring the bell.
Yeah.
It feels quite good. I think it's just a little bit of a celebration. I think the brewer gets to know when the review goes live. But I think it's nice to get a little audio thing as well.
Mm-hmm. I should have asked this. Go ahead.
No, I'm going to say you were saying you were in Orlando earlier.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, we were saying we've holidayed a few times in Orlando. So
Okay.
next time
When's the last time you were
we're
here?
actually planning to come back over in about 2 years' time. I think we're going to do New York is our favorite city, so we're going to do New York, and then we're going to do Orlando.
Wow, they're very different cities.
Well, they are very different cities, definitely. Yeah, it's funny. Once I think one of the first times we ate out at a restaurant in Orlando. The waitress was from New York, and I think she said she spent a summers in New York and a winters in Orlando, and that's how she lived. That's how she lived her life.
That's what native Floridians call those people, snowbirds. So they come down when it snows, and then they go back up when the snow melts.
But some split across the two, you got some nice brewers though, some nice beers going on. So I've been getting into District 96.
Right.
Brewery, which I think they're based in New York, aren't they?
Is it if it's in the city?
I think it's in the city. Yeah.
Yeah. See, I'm from Albany, upstate, about 3 hours north, like probably about as far as you are from London.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like that's a weird thing for us from over here. We don't understand. I can't compute those distances. They're just weird.
Oh, yeah, I know. Because, I drive one of my jobs. I have many jobs, but I do drive Uber for a living. And I do, I pick up a lot of tourists at the airport and bring them to Disney and back.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah, like the same thing is, like if I tell them I'm from New York, they just hear New York City. And I'm like, no, I'm from New York State, which is an entire, New York State is probably about the same size of like England.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
As far as like the actual landmass and population. Yeah, London and New York City are actually very comparable for population. Well, actually, I think New York is one of the biggest cities in the world. It's like 8 million people. How many people are in London?
It is a beautiful city, though.
It is until you get
tourist.
If you're just going to the touristy places, if you go to like the really bad areas, then it's not so pretty.
Yeah, we get told not to go into those areas.
Yeah. If you're going to the Statue of Liberty and the Empire State Building and Broadway, I'm from New York, and we went to New York, usually at least once a year. Go to, Mets games, Yankee games, things like that. Like that's always my funnest thing. In fact, speaking of sports, so maybe I should have worn my Orlando City jersey because there are MLS soccer team here in Orlando. And they get better every year. They haven't won a championship yet, but they keep getting closer and closer. So hopefully this is the year. But we'll see in November. It's a very long season. I started watching.
I'd probably have to be Flamingos, isn't it? David Beckham's team.
Oh, in Miami.
Yeah.
They're called Inter Miami. I don't know what their mascot. Yeah, their jerseys are pink. Yeah, it's kind of funny.
Yeah, well, I think we'll say because obviously I've followed NFL since the 80s, so the Dolphins are my NFL team. Seen them in London many times.
Really?
Yeah. Down in Wembley. Love watching to go there, and because Jacksonville have been the home tie down in London for seasons now, which has been quite nice.
Which is funny. Jacksonville's about 3 or 4 hours from me, depending on the traffic. Yeah. Jacksonville's actually a pretty small city. It's kind of crazy that they have their own NFL team, and they're
the wife and myself. We got in the Jacksonville Sentinel, I think, which is one of their newspapers. We got in there. We got interviewed. First time we went to Wembley to watch them play.
Was it the Orlando Sentinel? Because that's the Orlando newspaper.
No, it's definitely Jacksonville.
Okay, maybe they have the same name. I don't know.
Maybe so. Yeah, maybe.
Nobody really reads physical newspapers anymore.
I'm going back quite a few years now when they first went down there.
Yeah,
I'm probably going back. I am probably going back about 10 years actually.
It's funny. Speaking of Jacksonville, I actually took my BJCP tasting class in Jacksonville. Yeah, if you're going to become BJCP, it's 2 steps. Like you have to take an online written exam, which is open book, but like it's a lot of questions, and you only have like an hour, maybe 90 minutes to answer them. It comes out to like less than a minute per question, and it's open book. I mean, yeah, I mean, you could Google everything if you wanted, but then
Which
you
is
have to
really
actually
simple,
go.
though.
Say again?
Which I think those things should be anyway.
Yeah.
Because you've always got your reference with you anyway, haven't you, in real life? So
yeah. They ask you. It's funny. Like I was in contact with the BJCP, trying to get them to like put a syllabus together because it's like, like the questions they ask. It's like where are they, sourcing these from? Because like I worked in IT for years, and like there's IT certifications you can get, which are actually kind of global certifications, and like it'll tell you like which books to read, or you can just like buy a study guide that like they already know like the questions they're going to ask, and be like, so they're going to ask you this about this, and this is like the but like with BJCP, it's like I think it's mostly How to Brew by John Palmer and Homebrewing by Charlie Papazian. I think it's basically those two books, because they do ask you a little bit of like the science, the chemistry, the microbiology, because you have to know like like how like the temperature of the mash affects the pH, and like going back to like we were saying before, the off flavors, like the acetaldehyde, diacetyl, things like that. Like if you just tell that to a normie at a bar, they're just going to hear like these chemical terms, and like you can actually explain what they mean and like why it's in your beer. And actually, it's funny, like in the case of a lot of your English beers, diacetyl is actually normal for a lot of like cask beers, anything made with ringwood yeast.
Yeah.
I really love it's funny because like I kind of like I know a lot of you, the guys in the UK, you love American beer, especially like the juicy hazy IPAs. And I mean, we do too, obviously, but when you're becoming like a real beer nerd, and like you can actually, so you start to try like the niche styles, like you can't really get like true bitters in the States. I mean, you can, like they're very old bottles usually. Like the closest thing I could probably compare it is like Old Speckled Hen.
Oh, nice, yeah.
Like we can get that one. That's about it. And I used to, when I lived in Albany, there was this bar called Mahar's, and they actually had six casks on engine or whatever, ready to go, like at all times. And they were mostly like American, and actually kind of local breweries that would basically make casks just for this one bar. But every once in a while, they would get something from like Fuller's or Old Speckled Hen, or I think we got Samuel Smith's every once in a while too. But I haven't had cask beer since I moved to Florida. So I haven't had cask beer in like 10 years.
You're missing it.
Yeah. It's so much different than like the carbonated, beers that we're used to. It's a different flavor. It's a different texture.
Yeah. I mean, I remember when I first started drinking many, many, many years ago, and my local pub, they used to have, it was a company, it was a Whitbread's, which shouldn't exist anymore as a brewer. They used to have a beer called Trophy, and we used to, when we go in, it was either hand pump, so it was on like a cask, or electric, which was more keg, and it was always hand pump. No, give me the hand pump version every single time. I always loved it. But it's funny. I mean, it is strange. There's not a lot of bitters over here anymore. Real bitters still over here. Certainly for reviewing. And I know when I open a proper bitter now, and you just get hit by that smell, it just is one of the best smells ever.
Yeah, I don't know if this is, when you walk into your bar, is there like an odor in the air where it's like you just like as soon as you walk in, you smell it? Like that's how Mahar's was for me.
It's really funny. We've had some work done recently. In fact, we've had the outside of the house spray painted and the ale house spray painted. And I opened the door for him to the ale house, and he went, "Oh, that smell!" Because it's homebrew. I do a lot of beer. I do a lot of bitters in here, and well, like I say, I've just poured myself a Westie, and he said that smell is just amazing. So no, I sit in that every single day and review beers.
By Westie, I assume you mean West Coast IPA?
Yeah.
Not Westy 12?
No. West Coast. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, West Coast IPA. Yeah, it started off as an American Pale Ale, but I got a little bit heavy-handed with the hops, and so it's turned into a bit of a West. It's not a particularly well-balanced beer, but it's nice. I enjoy it.
Which hops are in it?
I've got some. Originally, I had Cascade in it to make it the American Pale Ale, but I had a packet. I didn't know where it was. I had a packet in my fridge of hops. I didn't know what they were, so put those in the boil. I think there's a little orange flavour in there now, so I think there were. I think the First Gold hops. So I've labelled them up now as First Gold. So yeah, so I've got First Gold and Cascade in there.
I'm not familiar with the First Gold, but yeah, Cascade is like the quintessential East Coast hop. Like that one's very piney. That's that like you ever had Arrogant Bastard, or a lot of like the Christmas IPAs will use that because it's so piney, it's so resiny.
Yeah.
You know, like now, like the hazies, they use Mosaic, Simcoe, and Citra. Those are like the big three for the hazies. Like the West Coast is like, you know, I mean, it's definitely those, but it's also like Amarillo and El Dorado. A lot of the like the Pacific Northwest hops, like where those are more like citrus. Because like there's a definite difference between like citrus and tropical. They're close, but they're not the same.
No. Do you get a lot of? It's interesting. I had a white stout the other day. It was just interesting. The brewers taking back the word stout.
Yeah.
It's obviously stout originally meant strong, and it's now become like a word for that black liquid. I like the fact that some brewers are taking back the word stout and producing beers as stouts.
Was it like amber? Was the beer amber?
No, it was golden.
Okay, amber, golden.
Yeah.
There's a lot of I'll show you one of mine. Let's see, because I did a Christmas beer. It's called like Santa's White. Yeah, here we go. Let me see. I need a producer because I have to bring up the screen here, and I have to go back into the control panel. So yeah, Santa's White Christmas Stout. This was like 2 Christmases ago, and it was actually from a local brewery, and they use like they're calling it a stout even though it's like kind of amber, but they use coffee in there.
Oh.
So like that's why they're calling it like a white stout.
I can't remember what the one.
I don't. Why was I wearing these glasses? Look at these glasses. Can you hear the audio on this? Yeah, you know it's funny. Christmas beers, I'd say, are probably my favorite style in general.
Nice to get those spices in there.
Oh yeah, like probably I don't know. Like there's so many to choose from, but I'd probably say probably Korsendonk Christmas Ale is probably my favorite. A lot of them are the best Christmas beers are usually just Belgian quads, and they throw like, you know, orange peel, cranberry, you know, some random spices in there. There's this brewery in Ocala, or maybe it's Gainesville. It's, you know, up north in Florida, called Infinite Ale Works, and they did a Belgian. Let me see if I can find it. Let's say Infinite Ale Works Christmas. It's funny. I've reviewed so many beers, like I can't always remember. Yeah, they called it West Floridian Christmas. Let's see here. Yeah, I highly doubt you can get this where you are, but if you can,
on spots, I know.
Yeah, it was a Belgian quad with let me see. I'm bring up the description here. Cranberry, clove, star anise, allspice, cinnamon, and vanilla. Yeah, that was one of my best beers of well, that was 2023, I think. Yeah, 2023.
Hmm.
Yeah. One of the best Christmas beers I've ever had was, ironically enough, a Florida beer.
It's nice. I mean, I think I said before we went on air that we've been to Florida quite a few times. Been to Florida a few times. Been to Orlando a few times. My wife's heavily into Disney, so yeah, we go to Orlando quite often. Last time we were over there, I mean, just before we did this the last week, I've been quite ill, just with the cold and that sort of thing. And I haven't really wanted to drink any beers. I think yesterday I had an Old Peculiar just to make sure that the throat was all right and I could taste and smell okay, and that went through okay. So I was happy with that. But I mean, you got. I remember. So I think last time we came over was for our honeymoon about 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I managed to get 4 beers in for 4 nights in, and I just felt really rammy, felt awful. I was so looking forward to drinking Orlando Dry, but it didn't quite work out.
Were you drinking all locally made beers or just like stuff you get in the store?
Well, it was stuff in the stores, but I managed to Central 28, is it?
Yeah, they're not too far from me, like about 20 minutes away.
They had Sunshine Greetings, I think it was called.
Oh, yeah. That one's kind of lame.
I think it was a touristy week beer, to be fair.
Yeah.
But it was all right to try. And I think Bold City did a brown ale.
Oh, yeah. I know that one. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I think I did those. And then I think I just started a couple more. And I just started feeling really rammy. And I spent the rest of the 2 weeks not drinking anything at all, which was awful. I think Universal, I think Epcot at the time had a beer festival on, so ended up walking around Epcot with all these people drinking beers that I couldn't have. It was awful, dreadful. I hated it.
That's like the worst when you can't drink. Like, did you ever get COVID? And like, some people when they got COVID, like they couldn't taste or smell anything. That never happened to me.
Yeah, I did pick it up, but I didn't have COVID for too long, so I got away with it. I think so I didn't do too bad. But just sometimes with these colds, it's like this last one I've had. I just not fancy drinking at all. Mm-hmm. Just not being in the mood for a beer. So it's been nice the last couple of days getting back into it again, which has been good. Yeah,
when I'm sick, I usually. You ever had a hot toddy? Like it's like whiskey and honey. It's basically like a tea.
Yeah, warm tea, hot tea.
Yeah, a hot tea with you throw a shot of whiskey in there. Those can be really good.
I just tend to go back to really basic flavors until I fancy trying something a little bit stronger. So very basic soups and toast and stuff for me for a few days until I feel right again. And like I said last night, I had a couple of Old Peculiars just to make sure I was feeling it for the beers, and I was happy about that to be able to do this today.
It's funny you mentioned Old Peculiar because I just grabbed one of those when I was at the beer store this afternoon. It was fairly cheap. It was $5, and like so I looked it up on Untappd when I got home, and I saw that you just checked into it last night, and I was like, oh, we got one.
It's the way it goes sometimes, isn't it?
Yeah, like there's so many, thousands of beers, and it's like just by coincidence, the one that I got today you had yesterday. Although it's a lot easier to come by for you.
Well, it is. I think our cheap stores tend to sell the Old Peculiar quite cheap. I can probably pick it up for about £1.50, £2. So that's I don't know, $2.50, $3.
Wow. Yeah, it was $5, but I think that's I don't know if that's a 500 ml.
They tend to do on 500, don't they?
Let's see. It's
well.
I don't see a. Oh, here it is. 14. Well, it says 14.9 ounces. I think that's 440, like Guinness.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't understand ounces.
Yeah, it's funny. I've talked to so many people from the UK, like on this channel and my other channel, and the rest of the world always makes fun of America because we haven't adopted the metric system yet. But I think England's even worse because some of your stuff is old imperial units and some things are metric.
Yeah, we understand pints quite well, but we also understand 330 ml, 430 ml as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Or like for temperature, you probably use Celsius, right?
Celsius, yeah, we do, yeah.
Yeah, but like, for weight, like as far as like, how much you yeah, like if I asked you how much you weigh, you would probably say stone, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah.
But like, if you're measuring produce at the grocery store, is it
You
in
can't do that.
kilograms or is it in pounds?
No, it's in kilograms. You can't weigh things in our stores in imperial anymore. They've
Yeah,
banned it. It's
yeah, it's
weird.
crazy. I'm
But
surprised they just haven't.
it is interesting because I've tried to lose weight a couple of times.
Mhm.
Last year I lost 3 stone. I don't know what it is in kilograms, but I've tried
Yeah,
to
I
lose
don't
weight.
know
I've
kilograms
tried to
either.
lose weight before, and when I've worked it out in kilograms, I don't understand it. I don't understand what kilograms are, so everything looks all right. It looks like a good number, so I'm all right. But when I start looking in stone and pounds, it's like, all right, I know I need to lose a little bit of weight.
Yeah, and when you drive on the highway, the speed limit is in
Miles per
miles
hour.
per hour. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's not metric.
Look, we're a screwed up country. What can I say?
I know
We're
you gotta.
confused.
Yeah,
We
you gotta convert.
invented all this imperialness, and then metric kind of tried to take over, and we fought it as long as possible.
The only thing that we really use metric for is like some of the drinks. Like when you go to the grocery store and you get big Coke and Pepsi in 2-liter bottles.
Yeah,
Like everybody knows what a 2-liter bottle
yeah, yeah,
of soda is, but that's about it. I'm trying to think like,
yeah.
or yeah, I'm trying to think like that's pretty much all we would use a metric for, unless you're
Strange,
counting
that.
kilograms of cocaine. I don't know.
Well, they're stopping that coming over the border, aren't they? So,
Yeah. It's funny. I don't know if you've seen. I've been uploading old. I mean, I guess you could call them podcasts, but they're interviews I did with other beer tubers,
yeah, I've seen all those on
like
Instagram. Yeah,
10, 15 years ago. I used to ask pretty much the same questions, and I should
these
like,
getting old.
yeah. I don't. It's funny. I should ask these questions too, because like I always say, like when you're judging beer, like what's your rubric? What's your criteria? Like how do you, like what goes through your head when you say like this is a good beer, this is a not so good beer?
I think for me, it's just about taste.
Mm-hmm.
I've started doing my reviews slightly differently. If it's a brewery bought beer or a bottle shop bought beer, then I'll do the what's it look like, what's the aroma.
Mm-hmm.
If it's something you can generally buy in a pub or a supermarket, I just get straight to the flavour of it because that's what we do.
Right.
Crack it open, pour it in a glass and drink it. And we don't care what it looks like. We don't care what it smells like. So I have two. So it's, for me, it all boils down to, I think, flavour.
Yeah.
I mean, you know yourself. You can look at a beer. It looks like the white stout. It looked odd because it was call it a stout, but it was white. It looked odd.
Yeah.
It smelt strange because it was white chocolate and raspberry. So the aroma's weird. But
Yeah.
it tasted absolutely gorgeous.
Really?
Yeah. So that's what I'll go on. Ultimately.
Yeah, I'm kind of like that too, because it's like when I do my reviews, especially now, is like I'm kind of coming from like 2 or 3 different places. Like as a beer judge, like I'm judging like everything this style. And so like I like beers that defy styles where you can't really,
Yeah, you got to, yeah.
like pretty much anything Dogfish Head does. Anything with like crazy spices in it, but and like I'm judging the personal preference too. But this is like, again, going back to if you become an actual BJCP certified judge, is you kind of realize like you're like, because when you're judging BJCP, you're judging to style, not how much you like it. So it's kind of like, like all those macro lagers that we don't like, like Bud, Miller, Coors, because they have rice or corn in them.
Yeah.
Like it's hard for us to get over the flavor. But I've judged homebrew competitions where somebody submitted a light lager or an adjunct lager of some sort, and it tastes like almost exactly like Bud Light or something like that. And like by homebrewing standards, like it's like amazing. I've actually I've judged, best in show competitions where it was like, a 12% imperial stout versus like a 4.2% light lager. And we gave the best in show to the light lager, not because it tasted better, but because it was such a great example of its style. Like, like those imperial stouts, they can be delicious, but they're actually they're kind of easy to screw up, especially when they're homebrewed, because like, they can get infected. You might get, or maybe not so much infected, or the brewer might take them off yeast a little early and they still have diacetyl in them. And that's the thing when you homebrew is like a lot of people just like, they want to get it in from the brewery. I don't know if you use a bucket or, usually I used to use buckets, like those big 7-gallon buckets,
Yeah,
you transfer. You just want to get it into a bottle or a keg as soon as possible because you want to drink it as soon as possible. But it's like, you know what, just leave it in there for another week or two. Let it clean up, because if you bottle or can it too early, it's going to be all buttery.
Yeah,
unless it's like a 3.5% bitter, like you don't really want that butter.
But stouts are interesting one though, isn't it? Because I always say with stouts, you can mess a stout up. I mean, I brew a lot of imperial stouts,
Really,
and I know I can mess it up. But the strong flavors hide a lot of that. Whereas if you do a light lager or a light pale ale, it's difficult to hide those off. Really difficult to hide those off flavors.
Yeah,
it's probably why I like to go for stuff like this, which I've over bittered. That's probably got some off flavors in it, but the bitterness hides it a little bit.
Yeah, and also, I mean, like when you're judging commercial beer like us, especially here in Florida, where you don't really get a lot of fresh stuff. So like, there's so many beers that I drink where I can tell, like, oh, this is a really good example of the style, but this particular bottle or can that I'm holding is old. Like, how do you perceive staleness in beer? Because like some people get sherry, some people get cardboard. To me, old beer, especially if it's like a lager or an IPA, something like that. It always tastes like lemon lollipops.
Yeah, no, I do get the cardboard thing. I must admit.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of my thing as well. I did do a wine tasting. I was into wine well before I was into beer. So in the probably 90s, I drank a lot of wine. I did a couple of wine tasting courses, and they said it's not about necessarily about the style. It's about when you drink it, what do you taste? So if you taste cement or brick dust or leather, and if you do, that's it. Kind of almost cements that. There's certain styles of wine now that I will describe in a certain way, and it sounds disgusting, but that's what it tastes like to me. And I kind of, even though it is disgusting, I like those flavors. So it's like verdant beers over here. I don't know if you get verdant beers over there, but it's like that vegetile, that vegetable flavor. And I've stopped describing it as that now because people don't like that as a description for beers.
I've heard, every UK BeerTuber that I've talked to, they all say like verdant is like the treehouse of England or Hill Farmstead or whatever.
Yeah.
We can't get them here, obviously, but I've heard good things. And it's funny you mentioned vegetal, because I did a non-alcoholic review last week, and it was like a really old can. It was from like August of last year, and it was just like a general like golden ale, like very basic beer, and it was like so old. It tasted like metal, and like if you had like canned green beans, almost rusty. It was really bad. It was one of the worst beers I've ever had.
It's really funny. My wife I always try different beers on my wife and say, "Oh no, you'll like this one. Try this one." And she always tastes rusty pipes with beers. Doesn't matter what it is. She'll always taste rusty pipes, so she doesn't like them.
Yeah, it's crazy how like different people can taste different things, and it's like like in movies where like people swap bodies,
Yeah.
Like if that was actually possible in real life, that might be how it could be. Like you could drink like your favorite beer of all time, but then like you swap bodies with somebody, and all of a sudden now it tastes disgusting, because it's not like it's not that they haven't acquired the taste for it. It's just like that's literally how it tastes to them because like tongues are all wired differently. I guess I don't know.
Well, yeah. I mean, I always say we always have different. We all have different taste buds. When I started doing this 4 years ago, I hated sours. I couldn't stand drinking sours. I hated the style, but I love it now. As a style, I actually love sours. So I think you do grow. I don't know if you grow into them or you get used to them or you just get to understand what the style's about, and so you accept it. You accept that's what it tastes like. It's supposed to taste like a little bit like that.
Now, by sours, do you mean like, because there's a few different types? Do you mean like the all natural Belgian kind of sours where they age it in foeders for like 2 years, like lambics, or the quick kettle sours?
No, it's normally over here. It's not the quick one, and so I always describe it as we have. Do you have Tang Fastics over there?
Which one?
Tang Fastics from Haribo. So it's like a sweet sour candy over here. So I see like I always range them from that. So it's like sweet and tangy all the way over to like lemon, sucking on a lemon.
Yeah.
So it's most of the stuff's kind of down the lower end because obviously brewers want to make it as commercial as possible and not put people off by making them real proper sours.
I think the American equivalent of that is probably Sour Patch Kids candy. I don't know if you're
that sort of thing. Yeah.
It's all just acidity, really. Or like, there's actually one of the best quick sour breweries in the country is actually owned by a friend of mine. It's called Urban Artifact out of Cleveland. And this guy Brett Coleman, he was in my homebrew club back in Albany. And he started his own brewery like about a year or two after I left Albany, and they only make quick fruited sours. In fact, actually, I have one. Let's see here. They make these what they call smoothie sours, where it's like the beer is like thick. A daiquiri.
Yeah.
Like this one's called Astronaut Food, and like this one's 15% ABV, and it comes in this little 8-ounce can. Actually, I've been meaning to re-review this because this was canned. I think like October of 2023.
I think our equivalent to that is there's a company in Edinburgh called Vault City. And they do what they call modern sour beers. So it's the quick soured stuff, and that's the mainstay. I think that's virtually all. It's not all they do. They do other stuff as well. They do some really nice other styles of beers, but the majority of what they do is sour stuff. It's mainly fruited and almost like a sour smoothie.
Yeah, it kind of. I would love to see under the. Whenever they update the BJCP guidelines, because I think those kinds of beers are kind of walking a line between are they truly beer or are they like a RTD, like a ready to drink, like a canned cocktail? Because like beer is supposed to be malt based. It's like malt is your primary, fermenting ingredient. But like they're throwing like so much fruit in there, like the yeast is eating the sugar off the fruit, not off the malt.
Yeah.
Like you could probably just take fruit puree and throw yeast in there.
Yeah.
And it's basically, it's like they're almost kind of like wines in an acid, because like you don't get hops off of these fruit smoothie sours. Like. I mean, but like even you could say like like the Belgian lambics and stuff like that. Like there's hardly any hops in those either. But those are like, to me, like a lambic is more beer than a smoothie sour.
It is a beer, isn't it? Almost, but it's obviously naturally soured through natural yeast in the air, isn't it?
Yeah, but they're just naturally soured from like the bacteria in the air, spontaneous fermentation they call it.
Yeah.
Can you get the Lindemans fruit lambics over there?
I'm not seeing them.
Okay, yeah,
those are like bottle shops. So I can usually get where I want. I've just got to ask the right bottle shop to try and get it for me.
Yeah. Yeah. We should let the viewers decide. Let us know in the comments, like, are fruit smoothie sours truly beer, or are they something else? What's the I mentioned the non-alcoholics before. What's your take on the non-alcoholic trend? Like, it's huge here, and from what I hear, it's pretty big over there too.
Yeah, no, it is massive. It's massive with the younger generation more than anybody else. I don't get it, if I'm being honest. I really don't get it. I understand people have a need for it. I think the beginning of last year, because that's when I started my weight loss journey, I started to drink a lot of low alcohol and alcohol-free beers. They tend to contain a lot more carbohydrates, though, than normal beers, which is bizarre.
Yeah.
But I just don't get it. I honestly don't get it. It's like drinking pop.
Yeah, and it's funny because a lot of them have less calories than soda. Like this one. This is from 𝒉𝒂𝒅'𝒛 Brewing. They're out of California, and I reviewed this one a few days ago. And I thought this was, for a non-alcoholic, this was great. I gave this a 9 out of 10. The only problem is this can's pretty old. It's from sorry, you can't see it. It's from this was canned last August, so it's like, I don't know, like 8 months old or something.
Not fresh, yeah.
Yeah, but it still tastes like, I don't know if you ever had Stone IPA.
Yeah, I love Stone. Yeah, Stone's good.
Imagine like a really old Stone IPA. That's kind of how this tastes. And when I had Paul on last week, we were talking about this too, and I said, I buy these mix packs. Actually, I have the box right here. A lot of the non-alcoholic breweries will have these mix packs of, like, 4 different beers. I think this was like $15. So for 4 beers, 2 cans, so that's 8 cans.
$15. That's bad.
Yeah, it's about $2 each, little less maybe. And I like them. I'll have these for lunch. A lot of people who lift weights, and even like runners, will drink non-alcoholic beer or even full alcoholic beer after they're finished working out, because beer has a lot of B vitamins in it. And the nice thing about non-alcoholics is, like, so you get those B vitamins without the alcohol. Yeah. Especially if you work in an office and you got to go back to work, you have that taste of beer, and then, like, you're not drunk when you go back to the office.
I think part of it, though, for me, though, is that buzz, not getting blind drunk, but just knowing you've drunk a beer. I quite like that.
Yeah, it's a nice, like the way we feel right now, because we had that the West Mall triple. I mean, that's a pretty strong beer.
To be fair, since then I've had my Spartan.
Yeah.
And I've had my 6.5% West Coast IPA.
Yeah. I haven't had Spartan in a long time. That's it's a Munich Helles, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's a lovely beer. It's a lovely lager. I do like it. And it's relatively cheap over here as well.
I don't know if you can get this where you live, the Polish combs.
I've not seen that. We've got a lot of Polish supermarkets, so I might look out for it.
They make, like, all these beers are like dirt cheap, and they're all high in alcohol. That's it's one of the few beers that gets the beer triangle. I've put this on my I've blogged about this, like, many times, or I post this on, like, the community posts on YouTube and stuff. Is, so pick 2 out of 3. You can have delicious beer, high alcohol, and cheap price. So pick 2, and whichever one you don't pick will be the exact opposite.
Absolutely, yeah.
So if it's high alcohol and it's cheap, it's probably going to taste terrible.
Yeah.
If it's high alcohol and delicious, it's not going to be cheap. It's going to be expensive. Or if it's low alcohol and it's delicious, it's going to be, or it could be, low alcohol, cheap, but so it's not going to be high alcohol, But most of these beers are high alcohol. They're fairly cheap, and they're delicious.
Yeah, Polish I mean, I've said a few times I've done Polish reviews, Polish beers. I don't know what it is about Polish beers, but I don't think I've ever had a really bad Polish beer. I mean, some just above average, but never ever had a bad Polish beer. And I don't know what it is about the culture in Poland and the brewing process.
Yeah,
I want somebody to explain to me one day as to why I mean, I can have lots of bad English beers, lots of bad European beers, but Polish beers, I've never had a bad Polish beer.
Yeah, like one of my favorites is the 𝒌wick 1886 porter. It's a Baltic porter.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Yeah, that one's the beer triangle. It's delicious. It's high ABV and it's dirt cheap. You get like a 500 ml bottle for like $3.
Yeah, we have certainly where we are in Yorkshire. We have a lot of Polish supermarkets, so they're really good to go into and just see what they've got going.
I hope nobody tells the brewery, you guys could probably charge triple and people would still buy it.
Word will get out sooner or later, you know that, don't you?
Yeah, I would that 𝒌wick 1886 porter. It's $3, but if they wanted $9 for it, I would probably pay $9. Yeah.
It's good when you find a beer like that.
It's funny. Speaking of Polish, you ever seen that guy? I think his name's 𝒂𝒅'𝒛. He's a Polish beer tuber. He does like what you and I do. He does beer reviews, but he only does them in Polish, and he doesn't have English subtitles for whatever reason. And he gets he's kind of like the Simon of Poland. He posts a video. He probably gets like 5 times the views that Simon gets. It's crazy.
Weird.
Yeah.
Weird. Absolutely.
I've asked him to come on this show, but he says he doesn't really speak English well enough to carry on a conversation. So, and I was like, can you please put English subtitles on your videos? Because I want to know what you're saying.
You'll have to run it through a translator. Quick question, because I know we were talking earlier, because you're from Orlando, and we were talking about I visited over there. I mean, we visited Orlando a few times, and obviously I like NFL, I like Miami Dolphins, they're my team. But I got into arena football, and obviously the Predators were around at the time. But when I went to Orlando, nobody knew anything about the Predators.
That's funny. Like, I have my tablet right here that I keep in my car for when I do Uber rides, and I have this slideshow that I put together on PowerPoint, and it's all like Orlando, like information, because I try to promote the local sports team. So I mean, obviously, our 2 big teams are the Orlando Magic, the basketball team, and Orlando City Soccer. Yeah, and then we have like you were mentioning the Predators, the arena football. When I lived in Albany, we had the Albany Firebirds, which I guess are still around, and like they were a huge team up there. And like when the slide comes up, let me see if I can get it about the because I have like the calendar for the Orlando Predators on here. Even local people will say the same thing. Like, we have an arena football team here. I didn't even know. It's because they don't promote it.
It's bizarre because I remember on International Drive there was a bar. And I think when they were playing, you could actually go into this bar and watch the Preds games. Yeah. But people in the bar didn't have a clue who they were. It was weird. It was so weird because I went in saying, I'm interested in the Predators. I'm from England. I follow them. Do you have any merchandise or anything like that? And they didn't understand a word of what I was saying. I was talking about the Predators.
You would have to go to the game in person. You could probably get a T-shirt there.
Does it exist? I mean, they disappeared as a franchise. I don't know if it came back.
Well, you know what? It's funny. I have that on the slide. Let me see if I can find it. Here it is. I don't know if this is going to show on camera.
I think Philadelphia Soul won everything back in those days.
Look at this full screen. So I have this tablet that is attached to the back of the seat. Yeah, it says they won the championship. They suspended after the 2016 season, relaunched in 2019. So they only have like 12, 14 games a year.
Yeah, it's a short season. It's a good game.
Short. Actually, I used to watch arena football in the 90s back in Albany. And I think the reason arena football doesn't really catch on is because every game is like 80 to 70. It's like every time it's like imagine a Premier League game. If every game was like 15 to 10, I think that would be pretty boring.
Yeah.
Speaking of English football, I don't know if you can see. I have a can of Wrexham Lager up there because have you seen the show Welcome to Wrexham?
Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah.
Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney, they bought
they're often filmed in a stadium over here.
Yeah. I just like who was telling me about it? I think Barry. Was it Barry from All the Beer No Idea?
Oh, Baz,
yeah, he's in Wales, and he was telling me about this show, and I was like, yeah, I'll watch it eventually. And I started watching it a few months ago, and like now I'm like hooked, and like it's on season 3. I'm only on season 2, and
it's a real rag to riches, isn't it? It's a real rag to riches story.
Oh yeah. I mean, well, when they have the financial backing of Rob and Ryan there, and like the episode I just saw, that they did a whole episode. It was season 2, episode 3, I think, on the women's team. And like the women, like they just play like on it looks like a field in the middle of nowhere, and like they have like their star player has scored more goals than like the star players on the men team. And yeah, so like I thought the first season, I thought they were going to get promoted to the next league up, but they missed it on the first season. So I'm halfway through the second. It's funny because like it's real life, but it feels like it's like a fictional movie,
like a film, like a
or a TV show. Yeah. And I could just look up to see what happens, but I don't want to. Like I kind of like watching the show. Like I think it's like a great documentary season, and it makes me want to I definitely want to go over to the UK someday, and like we have like I don't know if you can see the USA scarf I got right here. Like that's the USA national team, which apparently is not the same thing as the Olympic team, but I have 2 of those in my car for Orlando City, and I have tons of jerseys. I have like probably 10 jerseys in my closet. They don't all fit. I'm gonna bring those over and like see if people want to trade, because like I don't know, like how would that go over? Because like I would like see like like here's a team from America you've probably never seen and you never heard of, but here's a jersey or a scarf.
I think it will go down well. It's football over here is strange. I think I support Manchester United. That's my team.
Oh yeah, they're like the Yankees of football over there, right?
Yeah. My wife supports Leeds United, and the two supporters do not mix well. Mix well at all normally. But it's interesting because when we go down to London to do NFL, all the teams get together. It's a party atmosphere. It's just a wonderful atmosphere, and you don't tend to get that over here in our football. I know you don't tend to get that in NFL over there either, but when it comes to something like London, it just works really well. I can walk around in my Dolphins shirt.
Yeah,
my wife's in a Jacksonville shirt, and we just all mix and talk. It's just wonderful.
Yeah, I mean, it depends. I remember when I was in Key West a long time ago, 2010. I was wearing my New York Mets T-shirt, just walking down the street, and I just hear some asshole just yell, "Mets suck, Braves," like I don't know, like that's about as much as you're gonna get in the States when it comes to sports. Like at least like when you're on the street, like if you're actually at a game, it might be a different story. But yeah, like we don't have like the equivalent of
soccer. Our fans in England have been banned from European games for a long time in the past because of violence and hooliganism.
Yeah, that they show that on the Wrexham show. It's just like 2 mobs of people who like they don't know each other. They just start fist fighting in the street
just because they're wearing different colors. It's bizarre. It's really
like gang
bizarre.
Violence. I'm always like, you notice there's never any women in the hooligans.
No, I know. Yeah. It's funny, the women. You mentioned the women's football, and we like to. We like to watch women's football because it's just a pure version of football, soccer. For us over here, it's just.
Well, that's That's Orlando's claim to fame is the women's team here is they won the championship last year because we have like the probably the best player Marta. She's from Brazil.
Yeah.
She's been on Orlando City since 2019, I think. Let's see. I have the slide here somewhere. Here we go. Yeah, it's the same thing. Like, remember I was saying, like, the people, they say, "Oh, I didn't even know we had a arena football team."
Yeah.
They'll say, like, they'll say, "I didn't know we had a women's." This is a slide that they won the NWSL championship last year. I was hoping they would play here, but they played in Kansas City for some reason. Yeah, so we have Marta. She joined in 2017. She has a silver medal in 2 World Cups. And we have on the Orlando Pride, Emily Sams. She won a gold medal with the U.S. team last summer. That's pretty cool to have a gold medal.
Well, Megan Rapinoe is the one I think we all know.
Oh yeah, I don't know if she plays on the. She definitely doesn't play for Orlando. I don't know what team she plays for, but
I think her. I mean,
she retired actually.
I mean, yeah, she has retired now, but yeah, she used to be USA.
Yeah,
she used to be part of your national team. I think she played in France more recently.
Okay,
but yeah, I mean, well, the England women's national. It's funny because the England's women's national team are way better than the England's men's national team.
Yeah, the goalie for Orlando Pride is she's from England. What's her name? Morehouse. I'll look it up real quick. They have this over there. They have a whole app just for the soccer team.
Yeah.
Let me see. Anna Morehouse, I think her name is. Where is it? Yeah, I was right. Anna Morehouse. She's from Oldham, England.
Oldham, yeah. Other side at Pennines to where I am, but yeah, not too.
She's
too
pretty
far
tall.
away.
She's 6'1". That's like 2 meters.
Yeah, my next door neighbor, her, how old's she? She's 13, 14, and she's a goalkeeper.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so yeah, she's found her calling, I think, in soccer. So yeah, she's a goalkeeper for her local team now. So it's quite nice.
Yeah, it's funny. In soccer, it's called a goalkeeper, but in hockey, it's called a goaltender.
I'm a soccer guy, so yeah, it's goalkeeper for me.
I'm surprised hockey didn't become as popular there as it is here. Maybe not in Canada, but I mean, because soccer and hockey are like so similar. It's basically the same game. One's just on ice, one's on a grass field.
But it's like, I mean, I love American football. I love American football, but I don't like rugby. And they're very similar. Similar shaped ball. The rules are completely different.
I've never understood the rules of rugby. It's funny because like rugby and American football, like you were saying, they're very similar, and like cricket and baseball are sort of similar. Yeah, you're hitting a ball with a bat.
Yeah.
Do you ever see that Family Guy where they said Family Guy was based on a British show called Chap of the Manor? Did you see that?
I didn't see that one now.
I wish I could show you here. I would get a copyright strike, but when we wrap, I'll send you a clip of it because they're showing like they said British Wheel of Fortune, and it's like they're saying your turn. No, I insist you go. No, please, you sir. I wouldn't have it. And then like the host says, well, we're all out of time. And like they're watching a cricket game and they're saying, it looks like the guys who shouldn't be wearing helmets are wearing helmets, and the men who are not wearing helmets probably should be wearing helmets. And then like the guy, he hits it out of the stadium and they're like, yay. And then everybody else starts going boo. And he's like, oh, I meant boo, Yeah, that was, I just saw that last night. It's pretty funny. And it's from like, I don't know, 15 years ago, maybe more, but it definitely holds up.
It's funny how the cultures are different between the two countries.
Oh, I know. It's funny. I don't know if you know this, but I was in the American Navy for 10 years.
Oh, I didn't know that now.
Yeah, I got to visit a lot of countries in Europe and Africa, South America. So I've been to Copenhagen, Denmark, Iceland, Malta, Seychelles, Africa, a lot of Colombia, Guatemala, a lot of countries in Central America there, Canada. Although, I mean, I'm from New York, so we could just go to Canada wherever I wanted.
Yeah.
And we never got to go to England. We did float by though. We saw the white cliffs of Dover. I was so hoping we were going to get a port stop there.
Let's go. You're just docking there.
Yeah.
But I like the way that Americans always treat the forces, and I mean, when we go to, I mean, obviously we've done a lot of stuff in Orlando. When we go to like SeaWorld or something like that, and I know that's controversial its own right, but we took for a lot of shows, it's like it's a round of applause for people who stand up, everybody that's in the forces or being in the forces. Yeah. And it's that patriotic thing I love in America. We don't have anything like that over here. We should have.
That's because the military pays for all that propaganda, you know.
It works.
Yeah,
it's impressive.
It's funny because, like, as an actual veteran, like I don't go around telling people I'm a veteran really, and like and they always say, "Oh, thank you for your service." It's always like, well, you know, like I didn't really do anything, you know, and I wasn't very good at my job, and I got in trouble and yelled at a lot, and like I've met like the biggest scumbags in the military, you know, and like these are I'm sure they're all free men now, probably all have regular day jobs, and they probably did like the same thing. Like people are patting them on the back, and it's like, if you knew what I knew, you know, you would not do that, because those people.
But you still do it though.
Yeah, it's not that they like. Yeah, I mean, like,
I never did.
Yeah, I mean, I was on the Navy, so like, you know, it's not like we were going into like we weren't on the shore like in you know, Marines and Army. They're the ones actually, you know, in the field out there, you know, actually interacting with people and actually shooting people, you know. But I don't know how we got on this topic. I did want to ask you before we wrapped. I wanted to ask you, kind of going back, like we were talking about the non-alcoholics before.
Yeah.
The other big thing that has blown up here in the last few years is the FMBs, like the hard seltzers. Have those blown up over there too?
They haven't. No, it's like you get the Mountain Dew over there, don't you? And
yeah, hard Mountain Dew and hard
and stuff like that. No, it's no, I think it started to, and then I think it fizzled out quite quickly. But obviously, the last time I came over there, came to America, I got a lot of like the Mountain Dew and stuff like that. The hard Mountain Dew and stuff like that, and I brought it back and drank it over here. It started to take off. I'm trying to think who the big one is that did a lot of stuff over here. Can't remember the name of them, but it's fizzled out really quickly.
Is it White Claw? White Claw is like the big.
Yeah, we don't get a lot. We don't get White Claw really over here. If you say it, I'll know it. I think it came in like a clear can.
You know, it's funny. A lot of those are made by craft beer companies, like Sam Adams. You know, they make Twisted Tea, which is just iced tea that's hard, and it has like this really astringent character to it. It's kind of like how we were talking about the non-alcoholics, like like when you drink a non-alcoholic beer, it has like this very twangy, like you're a home brewer, like you drink like the wort, you know, like before you add the yeast, like that to me, that's how a lot of non-alcoholic beers taste. They taste like the wort, which is really weird, you know.
It's not finished yet.
Yeah, you lose like so much flavor when you take the alcohol out. Yeah, you don't realize like how much flavor the yeast actually adds. And it's funny because like making non-alcoholic beer is a fairly simple process. I mean, there's a few different ways of doing it. From what I understand,
that's the processes, don't they?
Yeah, they just make a full alcoholic beer, and then they don't boil it, but they do raise the temperature to like, I think it's like 180 degrees Fahrenheit, and that will boil off most of the alcohol, and I think a lot of the flavor goes with it. Although every once in a while, like that one I just showed you, that West Coast and Sierra Nevada, they make some non-alcoholics that taste like, I say like 90% the same as like full alcoholic beer. Yeah.
No, they've not made it over this side of the pond yet.
Yeah. Well, next time you're here, grab a non-alcoholic Sierra Nevada Trail Pass IPA.
Yeah,
Well,
I think of the Celebration recently. Is it Celebration one they do?
yeah, that's the Christmas IPA.
Yeah, that was quite nice. The first time I read it, I think, was last year.
Mm-hmm.
That was quite nice.
Well, we've been going
I'll
pretty
have to
long.
look, and I'll have to see about packaging some of our beers up and getting them across to you.
Yeah, that would be great. I haven't done a. It's funny. In the early days of the show, I sent Simon probably 2 or 3 beer packages, but he still Simon, if you're watching, you still owe me at least 1 beer trade.
He's too important now.
Yeah. So anyway, we've been going a while, so I guess it's a good place to wrap up. So I'll put links to all your stuff in the description.
Appreciate that.
And yeah, thanks for doing it. Maybe we did like an annual thing or something.
Yeah, I'd like that. I definitely will send you some beers over. If you any particular styles you like, just let me know.
Yeah, it's really expensive to send beer overseas, though. Like, I remember when I sent Simon, it was like the postage alone, I think, was like $50 or $60, and then it was probably another $30 in beer. So it's really expensive.
Well, I might send some one of my favorite brewers of last year. So I'll be interested to see what you think about those guys.
Yeah. Well, as I always say, if the people watching at home watched all the way to the end, you're awesome. So thanks for watching.
I'll be very surprised, but yeah, I appreciate them watching.
Yep. Check out Andy's channel, and I'll see you when I see you. All right.
Okay.
Bye.
All the best, Chad. All the best, everybody. Cheers.
Cheers. Bye.